Boys and girls, welcome back to Saturday evening. We are still finishing off this Tennessee game right now. Um, Looking good so far for Tennessee. They're banging their three-pointers right now. It's an old-fashioned kind of evening. Wanted to start the video because we've been doing the last couple of days with just what we saw today and quick recap of the scores. We gave out all 8 games as far as on the video for today. What a brutal day. We've been red hot, so it was due for regression. And of course, it's when the better teams play on a shorter slate and it just hurts worse. We gave out McNeese in the first half. That was never close, so I can hand up Scouts honor. That was my fault. Arkansas team total under 69.5. They had 75 points. They really could have easily went under this number. Just got into the foul game late with St. John's. If you saw St. John's losing that game, shout out to you. But I think that busted a lot of people's brackets, at least for the next couple of rounds. Texas A&M -3. That one hurts the most. They were down early. They came back and were blowing Michigan out, for lack of a better term. Went right past them, got a 10-point lead into the second half, late into the second half, and then couldn't stop Michigan from scoring inside. Couldn't score themselves, couldn't make any free throws. It was just an abomination. Just the way they finished that game, the way they wasted great games from Wade Taylor and Farrow and that one's going to perplex me for a while because I think A&M was a far better team and they had the game right there in their hands. So that one hurt. Drake +7. That was iffy down the stretch too. Final score, you wouldn't know that, but Texas Tech pulled away late. So Creighton team total over 71.5. They, I don't know how they didn't get to that number, to be honest with you. Pull up some stats real quick. They shot 47% from the field. They made 12 three-pointers. Not a lot of turnovers. 11. It's not terrible. I don't know what happened here with them scoring, but shout out Auburn's defense. I was gonna take Auburn plus or -9.5 as my bet. And I just figured, okay, if Auburn's going to win the game, Creighton is going to speed them up. And in the first half, Creighton completely sped them up, which is the frustrating part about that game, is that Creighton in the first half played well enough to where this should have been an easy cover, and it didn't end up being one. So shout out Auburn for doing what they do. Wisconsin money line. Bleh. BYU took the game right away. And if you watch the end of this game, it's the best game we've had in March Madness thus far. Wisconsin was down 12 with about 2.5 minutes left. Maybe it was 3 minutes left. And they clawed all the way back to a 2-point game. They had the ball with a chance to tie. And they did an ISO with Tanjay, and he had 36 points. So, everybody knew what was going to happen. And he got to a good spot, and I thought that he should have just rose up and shot. And he did a couple weird pump fakes, and he allowed the defender to kind of get his body all the way into him, and he just off balance couldn't get a shot off. And that's it. That's over for them. I had Wisconsin doing pretty well in this tournament too, so that's just disappointing. Houston first half -2.5. That ended up being a great game. Gonzaga came all the way back and really forced them down the stretch. I also took Houston -4.5. So they got it with free throws for me at the end, just on a separate bet. But the 2.5 hit. And then we had Tennessee by -2.5 in the first half. That also hit. I also gave out Tennessee -5 for the whole game. They're up 13 right now with about 12.5 minutes left. And UCLA's just looks like they're, and all I hear behind me is cheering from the television, which lets me know Tennessee's still doing their job. They're up 13 right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to get much closer than that. I think Tennessee probably covers this number now tomorrow. That may not be the case, but whatever. So that's our quick recap for the day. 2-6 as far as the video picks went out, which, you know what? It's going to happen. We were 20-12 thus far. So that would bring us to 22-18. So we're still above 500, which for the tournament I rock with, you know. And sorry about that. And yeah, so let's shout out Tampa Bay. Let's go ahead and go with if we're gonna do our quick who impressed today, it's got to be Arkansas. Just a solid team, and I thought they were. We took them against Kansas. I didn't think they had a shot today, to be honest with. That's why I took their team total under. I just thought St. John's would dictate, and they proved me wrong. Really nice team. Texas Tech just took that game from Drake and played Drake's style and still just beat them easily, which is a little bit surprising. And I'm still impressed by Houston. It's a good Gonzaga team, and they beat them down for about 38 minutes. Gonzaga made it close late, but Houston I still think is the best team in the country, and it's going to be tough for somebody to beat them. So let's move on to what we like for tomorrow. Tomorrow we got our last 8 games, and then we're going to take a break until Thursday, which sucks because we got to go back to our lives, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday has to happen, and NBA basketball and all the stuff that I'm just vastly uninterested in right now. But for this sake, let's get to – we have a good slate here, I think, as well. I really like these games. And let's just run through here real quick what we like and see if we can get back on the right foot here. So we're going to start out with the prohibitive favorite for national champion, I think, as far as the brackets I've seen. UConn is nice. I took Oklahoma to beat UConn, so I didn't think we'd even be talking about this. And I think if Oklahoma had won that game, we'd be talking about an even bigger spread. I think UConn, with their championship pedigree, coach, they did look like a good team, albeit against Oklahoma, is really why this number is what it is. I think it should be 12 or 13, to be honest. Florida should boat race them. I would honestly, I would take this 9.5 if that was the first half line. That's how confident I am in Florida. Just to get you guys a real quick number, so we have something. I like to do this while we're live, just so I know exactly what it is that we're going off of when I give these out, because they do change from time to time. So like right now, this line is 9. So let me make a quick edit here for you guys. Because that's what we're going to go with, whatever's live at the moment here. So we got Florida -9 at the moment. And what Florida, so that just shows me some people are on, it's too late at night for sharp people to be on this. So I think we got a lot of drunk kids at the bar that are putting in some UConn bets. Florida's team total is 79.5. I don't know if you've watched Florida. Let me just do something here real quick that's kind of out of the norm for what we've been doing. But I'm going to add this to it. We're going to have, I like both of these now that I see that. That's absolutely absurd to me. Florida's been scoring like 85 against everybody. I'm not counting the Norfolk State game. They should steamroll them fine. But UConn is not some defensive stalwart that's going to keep them from doing their thing, especially when you consider the type of teams Florida has been putting points up against, including Tennessee. I see no reason why we believe that this game is going to be any different than that. I think Florida's just got way too much for UConn. I think they're looking at, Oklahoma scoring 60 points against them. But that's more of the UConn style of game. Florida's going to dictate the pace of this game. So in what world should they not score 80 points? I think it's very unlikely. Now, looking at these, I will tell you first and foremost that I do think that the best play is still Florida -9. So that's what we're going to roll with, but I'm going to add this one as well as another play because I more than likely will be making this bet when we get off the video here tonight. Okay, next bet for tomorrow that we want to roll with here. Let me just get my notes over here because it really helps when you have notes. This team was impressive a couple days ago, or yesterday at this point. Baylor. Okay. Baylor was able to beat a really scrappy Mississippi State team. It was 75-72. Baylor played well. What Baylor really did well in that game is they made free throws. They shot 79%, shot 19 free throws. They rebounded the ball. They had 15 offensive rebounds, which is really, really helpful. They didn't move the ball well. No real defensive effort. Didn't turn the ball over a lot here. So they played a pretty solid game and scored 75 points against a decent defensive team. The reason that I really like this number now is mainly because I think Duke runs away with this game. The line is -12. Baylor on paper has a good enough team to beat Duke. To be honest, if Duke isn't on their P's and Q's, you got Omier, who, if you watched, dominated. You have Wright, who's had probably his best game of the season. And then you have Edgecombe, who is an all-world freshman that they can really count on seemingly in big moments to score big baskets. So I could see this being a game where Duke is up somewhere between 8 and 12 points in the last, 4 or 5 minutes, and Baylor is continuing to play aggressive to try to get, they're going to have to take three-pointers. They went 6 of 24 from 3 against Mississippi State. They're not a lethal three-point shooting team, but they're going to have to shoot threes like that against Duke also, and we're hoping that they knock a couple more down. So what we're saying is Duke is going to hold them to 8 points less than Mississippi State did. I don't see it because Baylor was ahead in that game. That game ended up being tight at the end, and so the possessions went without free throws, which makes all the difference in these totals. Is how many free throws are you shooting at the end of the game? Is the other team playing defense against you? And I just think Baylor's in a good position to, unfortunately, be losing. And listen, if the game is competitive, I think Baylor definitely goes over this total because I think Duke is scoring 70-something points against them. Mississippi State scored 72. You want to think Duke's got to score 80, which would mean if they cover the spread and they win 80-68, you win this bet too. So I really like this one with Baylor. It's one of my favorite ones on the board for tomorrow. So we're going to lock that one in. Let's move to the next game. I've got this team winning this game. One of my favorite picks from my bracket, and they put it together the other night, made me look smart. And I think they can do it again. I just don't believe in Kentucky right now. I don't think that they have the firepower. The over-under in this game is set at like some ridiculous number. I want to say it's like 170. So you're saying 85-85 would be 170. So you're saying 87-83 for Illinois. Illinois' team total right now is set at over 86 points. So someone's going to win this game by 2 points, and I think it's Illinois. I think Illinois is the better team. I think Kentucky, yes, did they play poorly? Yes. They couldn't buy a basket. They still scored 76 points in their last game. Illinois, obviously, they turn the ball over like crazy, which is their kryptonite. But I think they can turn the ball over and still overcome that with the lethal offense they have. I mean, they score from all over the place. So we're going to roll with Illinois here minus the 2 points. I'd probably take this up to like 3.5, and that's where I'd stop. I think we could get a tight game, but I do like Illinois to get the job done. So we're going to go with that for tomorrow. That's going to be, again, one of my favorite bets. So locking that one in also. And then we roll to one here that I'm not sure how to, if you want to call this handicapping what I'm doing, sure. I'm not a handicapper at all. I'm just a guy who watches a lot of college basketball and does pretty decent betting. So that's how I'm here. But with this game, whew, Alabama scores a lot of points. A lot of points. Can St. Mary's get them? Sure. I have St. Mary's winning this game. If St. Mary's is going to win this game, this total is not going over. They're not getting in a track meet with them. Do I expect St. Mary's to get blown out? No. Do I expect St. Mary's to have to run and gun with Alabama? Yeah, in some spots I do. But what you're looking at is a total here of like 77, 73. Could I see that happening? Sure. But I think that this is a game where you see Alabama barely reach 70 points. And even if they win the game, I think it's going to be that St. Mary's tried to play a slow game and Alabama breaks through at the end, maybe beats them by 4 or 5 points, but it's like a 76 to 68 type of game. So I like this under, actually. I think it's contrary. A lot of people are going to take the over. You see Alabama, boom, green light over. I don't feel the same way about them in this game because I think that they're playing a team that definitely wants to control the pace. And if we look at the way that that's gone up until this point, what did St. Mary's do in their first game here? They took on Vanderbilt. Obviously, Vandy scored a little bit, but St. Mary's won 59 to 56. There was 115 points scored. Do I think there's 35 more points scored between Alabama and St. Mary's? I don't. I just don't. So just by that simple math there, and that's who St. Mary's is as a team coming into the game. So we knew that already, that they're going to want to control the pace. They're going to try to rebound the ball. I don't have any news on Grant Nelson. If Grant Nelson is playing, I may be looking at an Alabama side just because he's a difference maker, hits the glass, get them second possession, score on the inside, the things that St. Mary's is going to force them to do. They're going to try to get the ball out of Sears' hands a lot. So, yeah, I mean, as it sits right now, also another good bet for tomorrow here. And then let's roll to one of the darlings so far, a 12 seed that made her way through, which a lot of people picked. And due to the injury to Memphis, we saw Colorado State get through. And I don't find it impossible for Colorado State to get through again. I like Maryland. I really do. I expected Maryland to give up a lot more points to Grand Canyon in that first game, and I think it was more Grand Canyon just shooting themselves in the foot more than it was Maryland's defense. But Maryland played a solid game. They were one of my teams yesterday when I did the video that I said impressed me, from Friday. I thought that they played a really well-rounded game. And I think if you get that again, Colorado State is another team that did the same. And I think you're just going to have a really competitive game here. I could see this coming down to the last possession or two. Something where, again, free throws are on the line. Colorado State's got they got some gusto. And I think they're good enough to get to the Sweet 16. I really do. So this line's actually gone up from 7 to 7.5. So if you're going to give me that, Maryland's got to win by 8. I think we're just looking at what Maryland did to Grand Canyon and saying they're going to do this again to a Colorado State team that's a lot more complete, one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. So give me the points with Colorado State, short and sweet there. Let's move on to a team that I like to go far, and I think tomorrow, listen, it's not that nobody, we expected Ole Miss to be here. We took Ole Miss to beat North Carolina. Initially, I thought if San Diego State had beaten North Carolina, that I think San Diego State would have also dispatched Ole Miss. That's just more of that defense is going to really slow down Ole Miss and kind of make them score the ball in the half court, and I don't think that they're good. I don't think a lot of SEC teams are good when you slow them down. If you look at SEC as a whole, Florida, tons of points, wants to run. Alabama, tons of points, wants to run. Auburn, for the most part, they play really good defense, but they really do want to score points. They have a lot of guys that can get their baskets. Tennessee and Auburn are very similar in that way. They can score, they don't need to. But most of these, Arkansas, get out and run. I told you guys that that was the way they wanted to play today. And I thought that maybe they could get slowed down, but I think Iowa State is good enough to slow down Ole Miss. And they just looked really good in their first game. I really like Iowa State. I'd take this up to like 7, to be honest. I think even a first half bet on this game, which I imagine the line is probably 2.5, but let me take a look at it and just give you guys a quick update on that for tomorrow. The line I have for tomorrow is 3.5, juiced to Ole Miss. So, but Iowa State is one of those teams. If they come out and play their game, they should easily beat Ole Miss. I don't think these two teams are even in the same category of team. So short and sweet, that one, Iowa State. I'm going to lock that one in. That should be an official play for us tomorrow. And then let's roll to another Mountain West team. We're almost done here. Let's get these last two out to you guys, and then we'll let you enjoy your Saturday night. We have a super, super scrappy New Mexico team. If you watched their game, they do a lot of nice stuff. And Dent is just a really great scorer, someone they can rely on and to get clutch baskets. And honestly, I don't like the way that Michigan State looked against Bryant. Obviously, that was a close game in the first half, and they stretched it out. Their depth kind of took over that game in the second half, and they just overwhelmed Bryant. And this is not Bryant. New Mexico State, as I argued with many people on Twitter about before this tournament, who I said they would beat Marquette, and I got laughed at by a bunch of people. For some reason, because the name on the front of the jersey means so much to everybody that they think a team from the Mountain West can't play basketball. Well, now look at us. We've got 2 Mountain West teams playing tomorrow, and I like both of them. Not a surprise. But New Mexico, they won 26 games. They're a good team. They showed you they were a good team the other day. It's not a surprise that that they're going to – I think that they'll be in a dogfight with Michigan State. Michigan State probably wins the game. Don't get me wrong. But New Mexico, they held Marquette to 66 points, a good Marquette offense to 66 points. They scored 75. That's a little – Marquette was fouling the heck out of them at the end of the game. So that was not, indicative of how their offense played. But they were like scoring 70 points. And they were playing that kind of game that Michigan State wants to play. 78, 72, scrappy kind of game. Michigan State doesn't want to have to score 85 points. They can, but they don't want to. And I think New Mexico comes out, and as long as they're not too starstruck, Tom Izzo, starstruck, oh my God, it's Michigan State, and they just come out and play their brand of basketball, I wouldn't be surprised if you found Michigan State down at the half to this team. So I'll take the 4.5 points, absolutely. If this goes down to 3.5, I'd still take it there. I'm sure on some books you can choose that alt line and take the number even lower if you want to. I'd be comfortable with 3.5 if it's good money. If you get plus money, like plus 100 on 3.5, I would take that. But at this line, the way it sits, 4.5, too many points. New Mexico, definitely like that one. And then last but not least, I went back and forth here on this this Arizona and Oregon game because I know that these teams are going to score. These are teams that are so familiar with each other. They played in the Pac-12 forever. Oregon has become more and more of a basketball school over the last 15 years than they ever were. They have a legitimate team. If you watch them play the other day, they were getting whatever they wanted to get against Liberty, and Liberty is a really good defense. I was telling you guys about the ball denial that they do. Arizona's not that team at all. Arizona wants to get out, guns blazing, score, 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 score. And Oregon, more comfortable as an up-tempo team as well, getting out there and scoring. And I told you guys that Shellstad would break out of his slump. He did that against Liberty. He was fantastic. I think he keeps that going. I think you see Caleb Love show out. There's just too many guys in this game. I think this game is played into the high 70s, low 80s from both teams, and I think Arizona wins the game. So if you're going to tell me they got to score 78 points, I love it. I'm not mad at the over. The over is at 152.5. I don't think that's again, if I think these teams are getting in the 80s, they're going over that number. So I like that as well. I'm not even shy about taking Arizona to win the game and cover the spread. It's 3.5. So I do think they get it done, but it could be close. Oregon is a good team. Oregon could win this game 80-78. Oregon could beat them. So I like Arizona to score points. There's no reason for me to take any other bet in this game other than Arizona side, Arizona points, or the over 152.5 in this game, because I do think Arizona could blow them out. I don't think Oregon is going to blow out Arizona. So I like Arizona to score points, to give up tons of points, but to win the game ultimately. So just a quick recap to go over it. We got it scrolling across the bottom there. Florida -9. We added their team total over 79.5. Got Baylor's team total over 66. You got Illinois -2. You got St. Mary's and Alabama under 149 points. Colorado State +7.5. Iowa State -5.5. New Mexico in the first half +4.5. And Arizona's team total over 77.5. Let's finish this weekend off strong. Today was a slip up. I believe we're still going to go 2 and 3 in our Twitter picks that we gave out, which are where our official picks are at. These are just, again, we're touching on every single game. I don't bet every single game because I don't love every one of these lines, but these are the best bets from each one of these games that I can come up with where I see the most value at with these games. So be careful because, again, you got 3 days to get this bankroll back in order for us to go ahead and hit. We're going to have 4 games each day, then on Thursday and Friday. And then we're going to have 2 games each day on Saturday and Sunday. So it's narrowing down here, and we're really going to know a lot about these teams after tomorrow and just where they're headed. Some of these teams are going across the country. They're playing in Providence today. They're playing San Francisco on Thursday. We got to look into stuff like that, and we got some really good data going into next week. But I feel confident about tomorrow, and let's go green. Let's make some money, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Let's go. Cheers.